Hello and welcome to House of Decline. It's a Batman episode, and that voice you hear is Cole.
Yes. You might also know me from Twitter as @Java_Jigga, or that annoying person that won't shut up about comic books at 3 a.m.
You got ideas. That need explaining. And
it doesn't help that the medium is in an all-time decline. It's probably in the worst state it's ever been. Not for any one reason. It's just we're taking a big L.
Yeah, well, print media in general, it's hard for physical copies of stuff, or it's hard for mass physical copies of stuff. I've noticed.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Or manga's still doing pretty well. Manga's
doing good. I think, according to a chart that I've seen, they're outselling comics like 3-1, which that's like the worst it's ever been. I think One Piece is on track to sell more copies of Superman ever. Mm-hmm. And I think Superman is the longest running, or I guess most sold comic book ever, followed closely by, I think, Batman and Spider-Man.
Yeah, and it also has like 90 years on One Piece as well. So
which is crazy.
It speaks to Oda's vision. I mean, I could do a whole One Piece episode, but no, we're here to talk about Batman.
We're talking about comic books.
About comic books and the Bat. I just saw the Batman. And I think it's...
I have also seen the Batman.
I will go on to say it is probably my favorite live-action Batman adaptation ever.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that the Burton movies are great.
Yes.
They just narrowly miss the characterization in favor of stylization there.
Yes, I agree. The Burton movies are all about creating that sort of cartoonish, larger-than-life sort of Disney Gothic atmosphere that Tim Burton is so good at doing, and when he was still, cranking out the hits in his heyday.
What's he even doing now? I don't. Is he still doing Alice in Wonderland?
He's still doing movies. He did Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children and Dark Shadows. That was a while ago, though. I forget what his most recent one was. Oh, Dumbo. He did the Dumbo movie for Disney.
Oh, that's right. He's still with Disney. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he always was with Disney. That's what people forget about Burton. Is his training initially was as a Disney animator.
That's crazy.
That's what he was, and I think that even though his movies are macabre, there is that sort of big-eyed sensibility to them.
Yeah, there's a lot of wonderment in his movie, even with the Batman movies, where you'll have a non-Batman character see the Batcave for the first time, and it's almost like they're been transported to Wonderland. Mm-hmm.
And it's that wonder which sort of that's cool, but it's not quite what the Batman is about. And Christopher Nolan Batman, though, that's Christopher Nolan's particular obsessions, and they're also very Law and Order movies, which can be kind of a turnoff for some people, because the Batman isn't Law and Order. He's a weird vigilante.
Not really. Yeah. I think that's what this movie does great, is like everyone fucking hates Batman in this movie.
Yeah. I love it. There's one scene where he's just being chased by hundreds of Keystone cops, and he has to...
Oh, man.
I love that
scene.
Thing.
That scene was so cool. Yeah. They're all terrible at their job, which I think is great about... Because the Nolan films, like, the cops... he's not really fair to the cops. Like he'll have these like NYPD guys or whatever just get wetted up with machine guns and rocket launchers, and it's like that's not really fair to them. But here they're legitimately bad at their job. They're shooting down blind hallways and while running. Yeah, it was great. They're all
on the take. Yeah. Half of them are on the take.
They're all insanely corrupt. A couple of them are actually, no, that's the DA. A couple of them are just like drug not even like on the sly. They're just like going to the club and doing whatever that drop shit is.
Or there's like that one venal cop Martinez. He hates the Bat at first, but he's all buddy when he's Bruce Wayne.
I think I liked him more than Gordon, especially because he gets that great scene at the end where he's just like, yeah, my cousin does fucking carpets, man. Like, I know this shit.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, it's you get an evolution of that character, of that dumb cop character. But I think that's, that's sort of emblematic in a way. Batman is still a hero. You're still trying to make him a hero. And the point is that he makes people around him better because he shines a light. The denouement of the movie, which I fucking love. Because it's been a common criticism of superhero, of cape shit, as you call it.
The cops are coming.
The cops are coming for me. A common criticism of cape shit is that you always see the superheroes doing like tons of violence to bad guys, but you never see them rescuing anybody. And this movie culminates to a beautiful scene where the Giacchino score is swelling, and he holds out his hand to a kid, which represents his lost innocence.
That was such a good. There are people, and I do sort of agree with that. The third act is the weakest part.
Yeah,
but there are still some fucking beautiful shots in that when it's all red and it's just entirely lit by the flare, and everyone's putting their hands on him like he's fucking Jesus, and they're walking through. It's like that made the arguably weakest fight scene worth it.
Oh yeah, and there's some good fight scenes in this movie too.
Oh my god!
When he throws the bat at Kenzie, oh my god!
It's been 10 fucking years of Batman movies, and they finally figured out, we should just copy the Arkham games. Like, we should just make them look like the Arkham games when they're fighting.
They also have, and so the high watermark of action cinema, I think it's a pretty standard opinion to say that Hong Kong kung fu movies, like Jackie Chan movies, are like the best filmed action ever committed to celluloid. Mm-hmm. And part of that is because they interact with the environment a lot, and like shots are really steady, and the camera's not whipping around a lot. And they do that for the fight scenes in this movie, and I think that's
This movie knows when to hold a fucking shot. One thing that I hate about the Disney movies is that the camera's always moving when it doesn't need to.
Yeah.
They never just let a shot. Even when they're doing like a tight zoom, the camera's still moving around laterally, and it's like, stop fucking moving the camera.
Yeah. It's that sort of Paul Greengrass Born Identity style of action filmmaking where you sort of make up for not really seeing the hits by having very intense sound editing of like the psh. But that's what I like about this movie is like the punch sounds sound like punches. They're not like psh, they're like
there's some meaty thwacks, and there are a couple moments where like in combination with the sound and what was happening on the screen, there are a couple moments where I flinched. Like when there's a particular moment that is sort of stuck in my head because Batman fucks this guy up when he takes the sniper rifle and just whips him with the butt of the gun.
Yeah, it's great. Oh man, you really, and for a PG-13 movie with like no blood in it, it's very impressive that they managed to convey this level of violence. Sorry. Fucking man, so many fight scenes. When he goes into the club the first time and he throws the bat at that guy and he's Batman.
Oh yeah.
There's so many fucking puns in this movie. There's so many bat puns in this movie. I love it.
It is. We were talking about this off the pod, but it is like a 1960s episode where he's basically just like wading through endless henchmen that are all doing they're trying to do bits at him.
Yeah. And yeah, I think what we were also talking about was this is tonally more than the Tim Burton movies or the Nolan movies. Mm-hmm. This owes a debt to the 1960s show in terms of balancing that goofiness with that straight-faced attitude. Because the thing about Adam West in the 60s show is he's serious. He's always totally serious. And that's what sells the joke.
He never breaks character.
Mm-hmm. And I think...
And neither does Bruce.
Yeah.
In this one, yeah. or I'm sorry, fucking Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson. No, yeah, he's always... but he's Bruce now. Now he's Bruce.
Yes.
He has overcome his Edward Cullen. He has overcome that Batman to become this Batman. And
he was phenomenal. I think he might be my favorite Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Not only is this my favorite Batman movie, but I think this might be also just hands down probably tied with Kevin Conroy and Adam West for like the top 3.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, Batman live action has always been. Usually he's been miscast for some reason. Like Christian Bale overdoes it. Where is he? Like everyone rolls their eyes at that now.
I love that he sort of overshot with his eating disorder that he has. And he, like, by the third movie, he's just fucked up. Like, they had to just make a plot where it's like, yeah, his knee is gone. He's like, he looks like he fucking was on like a hunger strike in between these movies.
Fucking Christian Bale. That he's a weird guy, it seems like.
Yes.
Seems like he goes to a lot of extremes. But, you know, speaking of, like, weird body modification, what did you think of the Colin Farrell thing of him as the Penguin and the makeup?
Oh, my God, I loved you know, I can hear an argument about, like, okay, they're taking away the Penguin, an important fat guy role from fat guys. And I, to a certain extent, I agree with that. However, Colin Farrell is probably... one of I haven't seen Batman Returns in a while, so maybe Danny DeVito still kills it.
He is really good in that movie.
But Farrell puts in work here. There's some nice little touches. I'm glad that they let him be a grimy piece of shit in this movie. I wish they let him keep the cigar, but it's PG-13. What can you do?
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll have it for the HBO Max show.
Yeah, he's really good as the Penguin, and the makeup is astonishingly great.
Oh my God, you don't even know. I showed my partner a picture of the Penguin. Yeah. And I was like, "Do you recognize this guy?" Because we'd just seen Miami Vice 2006, like a few weeks before.
Yo, that
movie I'm like, that is the
fucking rules.
It rocks. Yeah. I was like, "Have you seen this guy before?" And they're like, "Nah, I have not." And I'm like, that's the guy from Miami Vice 2006 in like incredible amounts of fat makeup. And they were like, I have no idea. I had no idea.
He's a fucking really good actor. Like, and
the least annoying method actor ever.
Well, he's also like, you see an interview with him and it's like, oh, he's a charming Irish bastard. He's got it. He's got that thing. And it's funny that people hated him because he was just taking bad roles for a while. Like in his Total Recall phase, you know. I think that was the movie.
I still have not seen that. Is that any good?
No, I haven't seen it either. I have no formal. I do not have any desire to see the remake of a perfect movie to make it less perfect.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love him in True Detective. He's probably the best part of that season.
Yo, fucking beating up that bully, like really intimidating. I love that scene.
I love that he gets introduced and isn't he like stalking his ex or some shit when he's being introduced? Yeah.
Is the first scene of him saying like, yes, my wife was raped and my son might be a result of that.
Yes, that is the introduction. And then the next time we see him, he's just like fucking driving by his ex's house, lights off.
Yeah, he's so fucked up in that show. He's so fucking. I love how fucked up he is in that show. I'm a big great. Season 2 of True Detective booster. I think it is secretly very good.
I agree. I love it. I love the ending to it. It's great.
Yeah. So yeah, this Batman too, like. Other memorable fight scenes I'm trying to think of, like that one in the hallway where it's illuminated just by gunfire. Beautiful. Beautiful.
And to be fair, they did sort of take that from Batman vs. Superman, but they do it better here. I won't lie, they do it better here. The scene of where you first see Ben Affleck Batman for the first time and he's illuminated by the shotgun blast is cool, but just with the bat suit and the bullets bouncing off the bat suit, it looks better.
It's very funny to me that in the advertising and in like the trailers, they were advertising this is a red movie. This movie is going to be all about red, which is interesting because most of the color palette movie is the classic Batman colors of black and yellow, which I thought was very funny.
Yeah, it is a very yellow movie as well. And to its benefit, I mean, because when it does use the red, it's great.
Yeah.
And it really sticks out in your mind. Yeah, just a fantastic use of color. I love especially that they, for the first time ever since the Tim Burton Batman movies, They have not just made Gotham City New York City, but at night.
Yeah.
It looks like a shithole.
I used to live under the J train, so yeah, they perfectly captured that.
It is so great. It looks. I love the little aspects of different cities you take, where it's got a very like Chicago style elevated train going above everything, and then it's got like, you know, almost like a Times Square, but then it's also got these like underground subways and all these different aspects that you usually see in a movie that's stuck to one city, and they finally figured like, oh, let's just rip off like 30 different cities. You know, they got like a lot of Pittsburgh with like the big smokestacks and the warehouses on the edge of town.
And absolutely, this goes to the core of what I think Batman. Yes, it is about a fucked up guy and it's about vengeance, but mostly what I think Batman is about having to live on cursed land.
Yeah.
And because that's what America is, right? You know, America is just slaughter and slavery and evil, and that's what it was built upon.
Yeah.
And like Gotham is this amalgamation of all of that. It is this like dense ball of evil at the core of our sort of its urban blight, representing the industrialization of this land. And, you know, the fact that it's named Arkham, there's this supernatural element to Gotham City, which brings everyone down with it. It's what
I'm glad
creates
that they
this
only
unique
showed
evil.
Arkham from the inside in this movie. I like that they're like, all right, well, you got like, you know, you got the police station, you got the Wayne Tower, you got the old Wayne Manor that I'm assuming will come back at some point. You know, you got your proto Batcave, but it's like, we're gonna save some architecture for later.
Yeah, get a weird building. Get the, I don't know, what would be Woodhull Medical Facility would be. I always thought would be a great Arkham Asylum. That's when I lived in New York for 1 year, that was the hospital I lived across, and it is one of the most evil buildings I have ever seen. Like, it fills me with dread.
There's some uncomfortable ass, like, old dilapidated medical buildings in this movie. Like, when they go to the orphanage and it's all this piss yellow tile and it's dark, I was like, this is low-key scary.
Yeah.
Like,
and it really just sort of underscores how like, it's funny that we thought, oh, the Nolan movies are dark and gritty, but no, this is a very clean Gotham. It's just Chicago. Gotham is just Chicago in there.
Yeah. Next to none of this movie takes place during the day, which rocks.
Yes.
It's always either at sunset, in the middle of the night, or towards the end you get the sunrise scene, which I think is great.
Yeah. Or it's in, like, indoors and, like, the light is meted out some way.
Yes.
The score to this movie is really... Giacchino knocks it out of the park. So, and
which is he's been phoning it in for a while. Like, but I don't like his Doctor Strange score. I don't like his Star Trek score. But this, oh my god,
he really can, because it's all based on two leitmotifs. And when they saw Something in the Way in the trailer, I was like, okay, they're using this licensed song. No, Something in the Way is the new Batman theme song. It's the dun 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 dun.
And it's
dun,
also
dun, dun, great theme.
And I don't know if I'm insane here, but I feel like some of it is, and I don't know how I would be able to prove this because I know next to nothing about audio engineering, but I feel like to a certain extent that guitar is the same chord progression as the guitar in the Batman 66 theme as well. But slowed down.
The chord progression goes from a root 1 to a flat 6. So it would be the interval you're looking for would be Holy Diver by Ronnie James Dio. Dun da da dun da da dun dun dun. No, wait, that's not the one. Dun 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 dun. I can't. It's more similar.
It's similar, yeah.
To, well, the chord progression for the '60s Batman is 1-4-5. Dun 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 dun. It's a blues composed by our old blues jazz champion Neil Hefti. I love that theme song, but. And that's based off of that's a chromatic tritone going down and up. Na 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 No, 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 no. What that reminds me of, there's this episode of Frasier where Daphne is saying, "Oh, I used to live above a band in Manchester, and they'd play the same thing over and over. Flesh is burning, da 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 da. Flesh is burning, da 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 da." And that's what it reminded me of. But no, it's Something in the Way, and then the Riddler's theme is Ave Maria, which is
yes, and I think there's a version of the theme that they released on Spotify that's like the two songs mixed or something.
Yeah, that fucking rules. That's such a good idea. And the themes develop throughout the movie, like Ave Maria is like recontextualized harmonically to fit scenes, and it's very funny how much was Christoph before There Will Be Blood? Do you think Christoph Penderecki was used that much or like influenced that much film music? I don't know.
I'm not very, very certain. I have next to no musical background whatsoever, so that's probably way out of my area of expertise.
Just say sure. Just agree with me.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. Fuck it. Yeah.
Nah, I don't know, but yeah, there's lots of. So Christoph Penderecki, Threnody for the Victims of Hiroshima. Lots of strings dissonantly going together. Got really popular because Johnny Greenwood basically ripped it off for There Will Be Blood. And then it got featured again, famously in the episode 8 of Twin Peaks: The Return. And it's had like this constantly recurrent, because like there's a lot of dissonant string stabs in this movie, which are great and feel like directly influenced by the intro string stab to Threnody to the Victims of Hiroshima. So just some music, just a little music things.
I see. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense actually. I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but I'm picking up what you're putting down. I do remember that song from the end of Twin Peaks, and I did notice a lot of like errant strings in this movie as well.
Oh yeah,
which were great. I love when this movie's never very loud for most of it. Mm-hmm. It really lets the music breathe. It's not like a Marvel movie or even one of the Zack Snyder DC movies, as much as I like him, where the score is like constantly loud and in your face. It lets it build and build very slowly into a satisfying and very, very like fucking hype to listen to conclusion.
Well, because it's just catchy too. Like I know it because it's like. What was the Wonder Woman theme? Yeah, that fucking sucked. That was like
it's like it's cool the first time you heard it, but then it's like that they really only had that 1 10-second snippet.
Yeah.
The rest of the theme is completely nonsensical.
Yeah.
Which sucks because I do like the Superman song that they came up with for Man of Steel. I think that's like probably the best part of the movie is that very slow build with the flying scene.
Yes.
Very whimsical. It was a very nice choice for Superman. And then like I don't remember anything about the Batman theme that they used. I think they literally just used the Danny Elfman one and the Whedon cut.
The cursed Whedon cut.
Oh man, that shit was bad. I saw that on my 18th birthday.
You're a man now. Time to see the Whedon cut.
I saw that shit in theaters at this very nice theater on my 18th birthday with a friend of mine, and we were both like, "Fuck this movie, man."
I really like the cultural rehabilitation of Zack Snyder.
I do too. I was actually. I'm not afraid to say this. I was against the cultural rehabilitation of Zack Snyder initially.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I was definitely in the camp of like, oh, he's just like a, bargain bin conservative.
Yeah, 300 seems so like, obviously fash, that I was like, no. But then it turns out, no, he's not fash. He's just dumb and he likes cool stuff. Yeah. And then I was like, oh,
he's a cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems neat and he genuinely believes in Jesus and it's.
I was also a Snyder Cut hater initially.
Interesting.
In fact, there might still be tweets on this account that, because I've had this account since like the cut was first. Now there might be tweets where I'm like, this is stupid. They're wasting this money. It's not going to be good. It's going to be a bloated mess. And then initially I started to come around with it. I was like, it's kind of funny that he's wasting all this money. And then I actually saw the movie and I was like, this rocks. I fucking love this shit.
Yeah. He had it, and WB seems like it's turning his back on him, which is weird because he's like...
No, it's very strange because they essentially let that movie die on the vine. Like it got next to no promotion whatsoever. I saw one trailer for it. It was shown in maybe four IMAX theaters across the country. It took them like a year to do a physical release of it. Yeah, it just... And now it's like in the $5 bin at my Walmart, and it's like, oh man, like...
Yeah. I mean, it even...
you tried.
Yeah. What can you do? I've reevaluated him, and I've even come to think of his Watchmen as, like... Even though it's like it's not like super deep or anything, just adapting something that unruly into something that watchable is pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, and he did a very decent job at preserving some of the physical symbolism that's on display in the comic. Like, and you don't really see that a lot with other movies where they'll completely they'll homage a scene from a comic. They do it a lot with Spider-Man where they have him lift that big fucking machine. And they'll completely ignore the context of the scene or why it was so important. And I think that just simply preserving and doing like a shot for shot remake of a comic is important.
I think I agree with that. What I also like about Snyder is a quality that this movie shares is that it's not embarrassed to be a comic book movie like the Marvel movies are. Like, the Marvel movies are always winking at you, and they're like, even from day one from X-Men, it's like, what did you expect? Yellow spandex? And then it carries over into, like, I remember the line in Avengers Age of Ultron. Look, I'm shooting a bow and arrow. We're on a floating island. None of this makes any sense. Winking at the audience. And I'm like, I know. Shut up.
Yeah, I'm not stupid.
It's like if wrestling was
I bought the ticket.
Yeah. If like wrestling was saying, this is all fake, you guys. I just did a fake suplex right now. It's like, no, who cares? I don't need to be told that I'm a little baby for liking this during the movie.
Yeah, I know that I'm a little baby. I bought the ticket to go see Batman.
Exactly.
And this movie starts with the pretext that, yes, you are a little baby. You came here to see a Batman movie. We're going to give you a good Batman movie. Now, if they can only figure out how to do this with a character that isn't Batman, I think if DC pulls that off, we're saved. Everything is good.
The key to it, I think, and what I think, if I were the head of DC at WB,
yes,
I would say, look at our successes. What have they had in common? They've been showcases for that particular director. Aquaman was a great showcase for James Wan. Joker was a great showcase for Todd. What's his name?
Todd Phillips.
And and Matt Reeves, even though he doesn't have like a very distinctive style, this has way more personality than, say, even
I'm gonna have to go back to his movies because I don't think I've seen anything by him. I have never seen the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, they're good, but they don't like really smack of like this very instantly recognizable auteur style.
I hope he gets to make more shit like Batman.
He's exceedingly competent. That's sort of his like quality is that, and he's like made exceedingly competent. He made Cloverfield. I don't know what your opinion on Cloverfield is. That
I've never seen it.
It's it has T.J. Miller in it. T.J. Miller's a big part of it.
I think I want to go back and rewatch those like golden era found footage movies, but the problem is like I've seen so many of the shitty ones that I think that I'm sort of predisposed to not liking them. But I do want to at least see that and the original Blair Witch because I've never seen either.
Original Blair Witch is great. I am a huge, because what it's about, less than anything supernatural, it's just about getting lost in the woods and how fucked up that is at the end of the day. And it feels very real as a result of that, because everyone's
legitimately unsettling.
Fucking man, this Batman movie. Is there more praise that I can heap on it? I wish they didn't.
Catwoman's really hot.
Oh man, Zoe Kravitz.
If I had to cut one scene, it would be that scene. It just doesn't need to, like, either save it for like an end credits or something, because I think that's what the end credits should be for if you have to do them.
Yeah.
Is like an epilogue that maybe hints at something coming. Now they're just, advertisements for the next movie, but comic books used to have epilogues and teasers in them, so
yeah,
I think you can like include that in there.
I just wish it wasn't the Joker so soon. I wish they were like hold off on him for like a couple more movies, because we've just had a lot of there's too many Jokers.
I agree,
and too many good Jokers too. Like,
yeah,
the reason why you can keep doing Batman again is because Keaton Batman, who's fine, not that great. Clooney Batman was bad. Kilmer Batman wasn't that great. Bale Batman. So there was room to have like a really good depiction of Batman left. But we've had Ledger, we've had Nicholson, we've had Phoenix. We've had at least 3 excellent Joker performances in recent superhero memory. So it's like, do we have to keep doing it?
You really don't need. Yeah, I would be fine if DC was like, just in general, not even just for the movies, was like, we're gonna take a 10-year lap on Joker. Just no Joker movies, TV shows, comics. I'll be fine. Like, that would probably make Batman comics at least 10% better than they already are.
Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't just, like, why not adapt Hush? Why not just do a Hush movie?
I had a friend that was talking to me, and he was like, it would be so sick to do a Hush movie. Even though I think Hush is okay as a comic, but the story potential of having Robert Pattinson act against himself is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. You can let that guy... I mean, I love Robert Pattinson in this movie, but so in other depictions of Batman, like, they'll really play up the idea that Bruce Wayne is a part that Batman is playing, so he'll intentionally be a doofus, and he'll be, like, weird and say, like, in the cartoon, they show, oh, I'm Bruce Wayne, I'm just,
in the cartoon, he's just gay.
Yeah, in the cartoon, he's just a big gay guy. Fucking... In this movie, he's still emo guy. He doesn't really change it up.
It's sort of just the
much.
leftovers of what Batman is, and I think that's great. And then, like, you get sort of the tease at the end that's like, okay, maybe there is more here, and I love that that's the direction that they're going with, where they're sort of building up a divide between Batman and Bruce Wayne that I don't think we've ever really gotten to see before on film. Especially not to like that degree where it's like it should be 2 separate performances, but there should be some sort of commonality between the two that there almost never is.
Fucking Andy Serkis didn't really get a lot to do as Alfred, which is maybe one criticism I have with the film, is I thought that relationship could have been expanded.
I agree. I hope that's something that they pick up on the sequel, is just give me more shit of Batman hanging out with people,
Yeah. Although he does have a lot of friends in this movie. I like how, like, Batman...
Quite a bit.
You think of him as this solitary guy, but no, he's got Gordon, he's got Catwoman, he's hanging out, he loves Catwoman.
That's what I love about the Morrison run, is that it's all building towards the reveal that, like, Batman's never really been, like, a solo guy.
Yeah. But I think that's also the gag of the movie. The point of the movie is Batman starts out by saying, fear is a tool, and, thinking he's fear. But the denouement of the movie is, no, the gag Batman is that your hope. You fucking idiot. You're actually hope,
There's some
idiot.
great shit.
Yeah.
And I saw people getting mad because they're like, they just made a Superman movie and put Batman in it. But, like, that kind of owns. Like, even if that's true.
Yeah, that's what a superhero should do. He should rescue people. That's what makes him good.
There should be more superhero movies where I come out, and even if it is, whatever, like fascist America with triple K propaganda, I should feel better for seeing the movie.
Yeah, you should feel
come out,
inspired.
And even though he's wading through a parade of cops or whatever, it's like he's still carrying someone that's been hurt. Like, he's still helping people in, like, the very, very raw essence of that.
Yeah, he convinces Selina not to kill Falcone. Exactly. They're very significant moral decisions that Batman makes in this movie that show he is what a hero should be. In that classic Cavalier and Clay Jewy sense of it.
I think that's why this is the first franchise that could potentially pull off Robin.
Interesting.
I think other people, smarter people than me have put this forward, but I think that they could do it. I don't know how that they would do it, but I think if any Batman franchise is going to pull off a live action Robin in a convincing way, it's not going to be some CW show. It's not going to be some HBO Max show. It's going to be this Batman movie.
Yeah. I think that could be have a little acrobatic street rat, you know.
Yeah.
I guess who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Tim Drake. That's the Tim Drake story. But Tim Drake would probably work better in this Batman than a Dick Grayson.
I don't know. You could probably. I think it would depend, honestly, on the direction they wanted to go to. Where if they wanted to play up like the, Robin is smarter at than Batman, then they could do like a Tim Drake kind of guy. But if they just wanted to do like a very simple like father and son story, they could do Dick Grayson.
What I love about this movie as well is how much Batman fucks up and loses.
Yeah, he's bad at his job.
Yeah, he's not good at his job in this movie, but he's still, better than these horrible, incompetent cops, which is why Gordon needs him. When he
all of his failures are out of like trying too hard, which I think is very nice. Or he's just not quite there yet, where he's like, all right, I'm gonna get away and have this perfect getaway, and then he eats shit. Or, I love too that they really know when to use CGI in this movie.
Oh yeah.
And it's simply just to heighten sort of already painful scenes where you'll have Batman falling into the water, and that's CGI, but it looks good, even though you can point out individual things about maybe not having the budget in all the places, but. In particular, I love the CGI that they use in the falling scene. Oh, yeah. Everyone, when he eats shit onto the street. Yeah. In particular, because it takes you out of the scene, but it's not played for laughs. Like it's a very very funny scene, but he does. That shit looks like it hurts.
Yeah, it's and then he does literally the Peter Griffin. Thing afterward as he's walking off. But
I love the noises he makes when he's Batman. All the little he's a very silent Batman in this movie, but not quiet. in a way that's sort of like Silent Avenger type thing. It's just that he doesn't know he's kind of awkward. He doesn't really know what to say. Yeah. He's constantly like grunting and groaning and being like, all right, time to fucking do a speedball real quick so I can beat the shit out of these.
Yeah, he does adrenaline and then really hurts a guy.
Yeah. Which I love that that's the one time that he fucks up, and it is sort of his fault, and it's not because he's trying. Yeah. It is because he's trying too hard, but it's also just because he's insane.
Yes, he's a huge freak. And this movie doesn't let you forget that you're watching a huge freak. And that everyone in this movie is like Gordon's a freak. Like they're all freaks for participating in it in this way because the city just brings everyone down.
I love when he's the one scene when he's Bruce Wayne in public, or I guess the one of two scenes where he's Bruce Wayne in public at the funeral for the mayor, and he looks disgusted. Like he's conventionally attractive, He's dressed nicely, hair's all groomed. He's fit looking. He looks great, but he looks like a freak. Like he's gaunt. Yeah. He's walking kind of weird. He has a very weird, like stilted walk. He's wearing like the fucking Hangover sunglasses.
Yeah, he's like people are commenting on he's neurodivergent Batman.
Yeah. He is kind of autistic with it.
Yeah, but I think there is that. I think a lot of autistic people do sort of end up empathizing with Batman in a way because it's that nature of obsession and thinking in this sort of rational way. And not like a straight. I'm digging a hole here. I'm not.
I was just gonna let you dig.
Just talk about. I don't know anything about autistic.
No, you're sort of on the money. I wouldn't. I actually now I'm digging myself.
Yeah, but autistic people like comic books. I think for the same reason that non-neurodivergent.
I'm a little autistic. I like comic books.
Sure.
I got a 5-pound box of them. Fucking on the way.
See, that's what I like the movie, and I think when people say, "Oh, this movie feels like a comic book," this movie does feel like a comic book in the same way that the Raimi Spider-Men were able to.
Yes.
Or another example that I think fits this tone in a movie that is sort of getting a mild critical reappraisal is Elita Battle Angel. Did you see Elita Battle Angel?
I have not seen it. I've heard wildly differing things. Either some people will be like, "This is dog shit, don't watch it," or some people will be like, "This is amazing, it's an underrated gem." I have not seen it. I have also never read the source material because I wasn't really a manga guy until about a year ago.
I am in the underrated gem camp, and I think it's because it hits this very specific tonal thing that comics have, where it's the most histrionic shit you've ever seen, and very self-consciously ridiculous histrionic shit.
I might have to put this on my list.
Yeah, but it's played straight. It's played totally straight, and they never break kayfabe, and it creates this
not at all.
sort of strange tone where you're absorbing all of this incredibly goofy shit, but you're in the fantasy with it. So it's like you're laughing, but you're also still very invested in the seriousness of the situation. And this is a very funny movie too. Like I think intentionally,
it is hilarious.
Yeah. There are a lot of great beats in it. Yeah,
all of the interactions with Batman and Gordon are riotously funny.
Yeah.
Like when they're going into the orphanage and he like draws his gun and Batman starts freaking the fuck like, "No guns!" Like, and then he's like, "That's your thing, man."
Yeah,
like,
fuck you, man.
I don't roll like you do. I don't know like 9 different kinds of kung fu or. And this might be my favorite comedic scene in the whole movie. Actually, this is probably tied with Penguin calling them world's greatest detective. So that was a funny little nod. Like the nods in this make sense. They're not like it's not someone being like, "Damn, I guess we really are in an Infinity War" or some shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's using the terminology of the comic books in ways that they would use. But the scene that I wanted to talk about was when Catwoman shines the bat signal and Batman and Gordon both pull up and he's like, "Man, wasn't that you?" And they're like, "No, man, I thought that was you." And it's like they have just such a great rapport in that few-second exchange that really gets to the heart of why this movie owns.
This is, for a lot of this movie, it's a buddy cop movie between Gordon and Batman, which is very... And Jeffrey Wright, you know, that guy owns a gold mine, but he's a great actor.
Yeah.
Great actor.
he might have accidentally... In scare quotes, accidentally contributed to a lot of slavery of Africans in I think Botswana, I want to say.
I don't know where his mind is, but it's bad. He shouldn't have it.
Yeah,
but
he shouldn't have it.
One of the great
But he sells the shit out of it.
Incredibly great
actor. He might be my favorite Gordon. Now, that being said, Barbara Gordon has to be a white girl. I don't know how they do it.
She's light mixed.
She's adopted. They got to make her the most light skinned. I know that they're doing a Batgirl movie with a black girl. That's not set in the same timeline. If they're doing Barbara Gordon, it has to be redhead.
Yeah, I see. Or
Irish.
they can just do that weird thing where they make all the redheaded characters black for some reason.
I don't know why they do that. I'm a recent convert into that's weird, and I don't really know why.
Yeah, there's something strange about it because I guess it's because like there's this weird free association. Oh, redheads, they're like a minority of white people. So
yeah, I think that's it. That's the most convincing because I'll see people be like it's a conspiracy to great replacement or whatever, and it's like okay, but like why redheads though? Like it makes no sense that it's specifically red. It's like, oh, well, redheads are like the symbol of white people because there's no black redheads. And it's like, okay, but still, like, I don't think the Joe Blow Hollywood producer knows that.
Also, yeah, I can think of at least, Mary J. Blige had red hair for a while. Like, you don't have to, why does it have to be, like, natural red hair? You can have, like...
Exactly. And I honestly, the dye works better on film. Like, don't get me wrong, natural redheads are very pretty, but I think to get that comic book red, you almost have to do a dye.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess Zendaya.
It was in Sierra Leone.
Zendaya was Mary Jane as well, huh? It keeps
Yeah.
happening. Starfire on the
It's
Titan
weird.
show. Yeah.
That one sort of makes sense to me. That's the only one that I don't buy because I guess she's very dark skinned.
Yeah. That's
in the comics.
that is true.
But they should have given her. I don't think they gave her a dye, did they? I have never seen the Teen Titans show.
I have to say, the first time I knew, I instantly fell in love with this movie as soon as the first Something in the Way needle drop happened. He looks at the kid, and it just starts going. I jumped out of my seat and went, yeah! This is my movie. This
movie loves being dumb.
Yeah. Oh, it loves being dumb so much, but like hit you over the head dumb in the way that comic books are, and what I love about comic books. Yeah.
And another beautiful thing that they add, that they sort of steal from comic books, is that there's almost no shots that look phoned in this. Like, if you look at a Marvel movie, there's a few shots in particular, usually like CGI or establishment shots, where you can be like, okay, the director was on set that day. Mm-hmm. You know? He wasn't maybe at the camera, but he was at least in the vicinity and was like, okay, here's how you block a shot. You know, here's how you focus. You know, here's how you set a stage and do lighting. This movie never has a scene that feels like, okay, the director was called in sick to work that day. There's never really a scene that looks bad. Like all of the lighting is incredibly consistent. Yeah. All of the atmosphere is incredibly consistent. The sets are fantastic.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's so dense. That's and not like dense in the Marvel movies are dense where you can't tell what's going on. It's dense in that you're always like noticing cool shit in the frame that they've hidden, you know. It's
oh yeah.
Or it's like that quality of Marvel movies where the action is totally weightless. I think a very funny movie to compare this to is did you see Black Widow?
I did.
Terrible.
I don't remember anything about it.
I remember
I saw that whole movie.
It had a bad cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit at the beginning.
It did. And I do remember that part. Set to a human trafficking montage.
Yes, set to like a very lazy sub BBC films, you know, a human trafficking montage. And it's fine.
Yeah, the fucking editing when that montage was terrible. It does like that like, you know, quick blur shit that so many, like, it looks like a fan cam, honestly.
Yeah. And Marvel movies just, there's no, because it's all previs and it's a lot of, like, everything is green screen, there's just no heft to anything. It doesn't feel real, and your suspension of disbelief is not effectively triggered as a result of it. In my mind, you know, the big denouement scene of fucking Black Widow is they're literally fighting in the air, completely weightless. And
they're falling, and then they just land fine, like, which is like, if that was a comic book movie about like that, if that was a Superman movie and it was Superman fighting in the air, that would be sick, you know. Mm-hmm. We don't really get a lot of like Superman fly. A lot of times, you know, he just punches someone into the sky. Mm-hmm. You know, we got that a little bit with Man of Steel, but yeah, it's just like, why is Black Widow in the air? What is the importance of this scene?
Mm-hmm. But you got to have a big scene, and it was at a flying.
Exactly.
There's a flying castle in the comic books. Another feature of Black Widow, which I thought was funny, is they snuck in Tarkovsky references in the movie because it's Russian.
Did they?
And Tarkovsky, they have a scene where it's very explicitly it's the room from Solaris in the flying castle, which is
I have not seen Solaris yet.
This is just extremely funny to me. Because, like, there's a rule in movies where you don't remind people of a better movie in your movie.
Yeah.
And this is, like, reminding people of the greatest movies of all time. Which is, like, in your fucking Black Widow movie. What balls you must have.
I know. Yeah, that's insane. Damn, I gotta watch Solaris. I've had it downloaded for a while now.
It's incredible. It's really beautiful movie. Really makes you think about stuff.
It looks sick. I've also heard decent things about the remake. I've heard very, very wildly sort of disagreeing things, but I have heard a couple people who've said that, like, no, this isn't the worst remake ever made.
I have not seen it. I like Soderbergh. I have no reason to doubt that Soderbergh would make a.
I like George Clooney.
Yeah. Not as Batman. Well, I don't know.
Not as Batman.
Batman and Robin.
His Bruce Wayne was okay. I liked his Bruce Wayne more than I liked his Batman.
Yes, he's a better Bruce Wayne, but his Batman is just him being Clooney. He's just still Clooney as Batman. Hi, I'm Batman. It's nice to meet you. Here's my Bat credit card. They have that in the movie. Yeah. The Schumachers are pretty great in their own way, in their own weird.
I have not seen them since I was probably 14 years old. I liked them when I was 14.
Yeah. I think they look weird, and there's like a lot of memorable imagery from them that I think is great, and beyond just appreciating them ironically for their badness. But honestly, I love saying, "No, it killed the dinosaurs, the Ice Age."
I hope that we eventually get a Mr. Freeze. That would be cool if we got another Mr. Freeze.
If we got a Mr. Freeze that hewed really closely to the animated series Mr. Freeze and does that story, that's another. So this would be a good way to segue into. I want to talk about the animated series as well, because in my mind that is the canonical. That is the canonical Batman piece of art. Other than the comics, other than say the Neil Adams Ra's al Ghul comics.
Yeah, it's the best adaptation of the Batman as a whole.
Yeah, because it also encompasses a lot of what Batman can be, how there are some lighter episodes and how there are some much heavier episodes as well, and because it's just given that more room to breathe because it's a TV series as well. And also, I think comics just naturally tend to translate better in animated series.
Yeah, you can bend the rules of filmmaking more in animation than you can with filmmaking. Mm-hmm. You can't really if you distort reality to a certain extent in films. I think that's why the MCU has sort of petered out in terms of weird shit that they can do, with the exception of the Doctor Strange film, which I guess will be their weirdest movie yet.
Who knows? I guess even in their weird shit, that's the weird problem about the normalizing factor of Marvel movies, is even their weird shit gets normalized.
Yeah. It never really looks as interesting as something that was drawn. Mm-hmm. And I think that's because there's no sort of distinction between reality and fiction in animation.
Mm-hmm. I think that's absolutely true. If you were to give me just a top three, doesn't actually have to be your top three, but just 3 episodes that come to mind of the animated series. First one off the top of my head, I might have talked about this before on Twitter, but Over the Edge. Over the Edge,
which introduces the redesign for Scarecrow.
That the only redesign that I like much better than the previous design.
Yes, and that episode, I think I saw it when I was probably 9 years old. And at the time, I had a massive crush on Barbara Gordon Batgirl. And the show just opens with her getting the shit beaten out of her and then thrown off a cliff to a rooftop to her death. And it scared the shit out of me until they of course, do the, it was all a dream. But it's still a very fantastic episode. A lot of great tension in it. And then I think... So I'm going to have to go with the first part of Over the... Because it's a 2-parter. Mm-hmm. Second part kind of sucks. Mm-hmm. First part is great.
Yeah.
When they don't... Until they reveal it's a dream, and then it's this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
If I had... Then I think I'm going to have to go with, for number 2, probably... and I'm gonna cheat a little, and it's gonna be 2 episodes, but it's a 2-parter. Yeah. It's the introduction of Two-Face.
Yeah, that's a beautiful episode.
It's best. Oh my god, it's so fucking it's probably the best of the that season 1 when they hadn't quite nailed down the art style yet, but in that one they really knocked it out of the park with that one.
Also, they had 3
we haven't gotten a good Two-Face.
I guess I like the Tommy Lee Jones. It's funny that he might actually be the best Two-Face on film.
Yeah,
which is
I would have to agree with you.
Yeah, because Aaron Eckhart.
Although, if we got that Billy D. Williams Two-Face,
that would have been the dream. That would have been amazing because he's such a great character. because
No, yeah, and he's so charismatic, and I would love to see him play like just a piece of shit.
it's funny that like the Joker is seen as the ultimate mirror for Batman, because like all of Batman's villains are mirrors of him. Or I always found it like prescient, especially in the animated series, just how many of his villains' origin stories start with industrial accidents.
A lot, yeah. Or just getting fucked over by a company.
Yeah,
I think
Mr. Freeze,
Riddler. Yeah.
Poison Ivy, to an extent, is although they don't reveal her. I think they say she was just born with her powers in the show. But Clayface, fucking
Clayface
Joker, they don't go into it in the series. But Two-Face is fucked over by industrialists.
Wow, they never did the Joker origin in this.
They do it in Phantasm. They sort of allude to the fact that he was just a low-level mobster, but they don't actually show.
I gotta rewatch that.
Yeah, they don't show him getting.
It's been a hot minute.
Oh, Phantasm.
Is great.
Yeah, that's a lot of people will uncontroversially call that the greatest Batman film, and I'd have to agree.
If I could remember it, I watched it when I was like 15 as well. I would probably agree with it. I remember the few bits and pieces being like sick as fuck.
It's got Abe Vigoda.
Yeah. The sequence when like there's like a car that goes through a window, I think. Something like that. That was hardest, but that stuck with me as a child.
I remember the sequence where Joker's fighting Batman with a giant salami, and that stuck in my head.
That kind of owns.
Yeah, but see, that's what I like about it. It's this goofy shit that you take seriously, because that is the tension present when you're taking in this media. So we got Over the Edge. We got the Two-Face introduction.
Yeah.
What's a third episode?
Oh, geez, third episode. This is gonna be tough. I'm gonna look up.
You gotta look up the
Batman the Animated Series episodes, because it's been.
I liked the Hardak episodes. I liked.
Those are great.
Fucking.
I love how Twilight Zone they get.
Yes. I really like to be. I'll get on my top 3 list, but I really like how much body horror there. I'm a big body horror guy.
Oh, there's so much, especially with the Clayface episodes.
Yeah, Clayface and one fucking. I'll start. Well, you're looking up your third episode. I'll say
go ahead.
My first Batman episode, and like the one that like got me hooked on Batman, is Home and Garden, the one where Poison Ivy, it seems like she's reformed. And then Batman goes into her greenhouse. And
I had that one on VHS when I was a kid. I watched the shit out of that one.
That shit fucking scared the living bejesus out of me when I was a kid.
Oh my god, when the kids start like getting all fucked up. Oh yeah,
man. And they start turning into those weird cactus guys. Yeah, that's like they're the faces of horror on Robin and Batman. Like, these guys have seen some shit, and even they're like fucking traumatized by this. Oh, and when they start melting from the herbicide, oh my god, that shit fucking rules my shit. Oh, and how it gives this great ending to Poison Ivy as well, because like the final shot of her is on the plane leaving the family that she wanted, and she's like crying because it gets to the heart of, she does want to be normal, but she can't. And it's such a fucking great character beat. I love it. I love it so much.
I'm gonna go hard mode. So I'm going to not include sort of the very obvious picks like Harley's introduction or
Robin's Reckoning.
Almost got him. Robin's Reckoning.
POV.
I'm gonna pick the POV. Yeah. I'm gonna pick Day of the Samurai. That one goes hard as shit.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Kyodai Ken.
Yeah, I love that death touch. I remember I saw that show when I was like in second grade, and me and my friends just kept trying to do it to each other. We just kept trying to do the death touch, like the 1-inch punch.
You weren't afraid that you would end up killing each other.
No, we were like, dude, it's gonna take a little bit, but you're gonna die. Like you're gonna die after class.
One episode that I really love, and that often gets ranked among the worst episodes of this series, but I think is actually like totally brilliant, is The Forgotten. Do you remember the Forgotten episode?
I don't.
It is the one where Batman gets amnesia and ends up on a chain gang.
Oh, yeah, that one's I had that one on a little VHS bundle as well. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, that one, I really like that one because there's this one sequence in it, which I think gets to the root of something else that I also wanted to talk about, which is disingenuous liberal critiques of Batman. But there's this one sequence where it shows Batman having a dream, and he's Bruce Wayne, and a homeless guy comes up to him, and he happily gives him money, and then another, and he gives him money, and then more and more and more, and he's overwhelmed, and he feels overwhelmed by that. And I thought that's great. That's sort of like...
Yeah,
he's just he can't help people in this traditional way. He feels overwhelmed by it, which is why he resorts to, like, violence, you know. That's a great insight into, you know, and something that people often say, like a liberal critique of Batman is, Batman shouldn't beat people up. He should donate to charities, and he should set up charities.
And they sort of reinforce that dream as well, and I think it's a Mad Hatter episode where his parents are still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in that dream sequence, he ends up becoming a doctor like his father.
Mm-hmm.
So it just further reinforces that, like, yeah, Batman's a good guy.
Mm-hmm. He has this desire to help people, even though his own psyche tells him it's impossible for him to do it. I mean, that is the eternal curse of the protagonist, right? You are a small light in this omnipresent, overwhelming darkness, which is referenced in the Batman movie. I also love another aspect of the Batman movie that just going back to it is how the entire plot hinges on this corrupt charity. I thought that was very interesting about, you know, the hiding.
That's the only woke, or I guess in scare quotes, woke shit they get into in this movie is the Gotham sucks. Like, even the charities are evil in Gotham.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's an interesting thing: is this movie structurally is very similar to Dark Knight. I think that's where it bears its most resemblance, where it's escalating set pieces, essentially, of this one crazy guy.
I agree.
Through like three major escalating set pieces, and that's what sort of punctuates the movie. But it also borrows a lot from the recent Joker movie in the fact that it's about a public uprising, and it sort of recontextualizes Batman. And I think you have to do this because everybody knows, okay, Batman is a cop, and George Floyd happened, and there's now more popular sentiment against cops than there ever have been before.
Which is good.
Yeah. But
don't get me wrong, fuck cops, but also I love Batman.
Yeah, but it's a fantasy too. That's the other thing, is that Gotham City is literally evil. Like, this is a fantasy where Batman is necessary. This isn't the real world. This is a world where there is this supernatural force of industrial chaos that looms over this cursed city. And Batman is its protector, essentially. And but it's fiction. Like, I will be against the police as an institution for the rest of my life, but I will also be a diehard Batman fan for the rest of my life. And until I got on Twitter, I never saw any problem with that. Well, I also think that this movie does go out of its way to tell you that the cops are flawed and they suck.
Yeah.
And I think it very much is sort of understanding of, oh, Batman is a cop, so we have to sort of smoothen this out in some way, or we have to show that he's not really a cop, or he's hated by the cops, or he's like somewhat different because he's not really representing state authority in that way.
The political outcry to this movie in terms of both its subject matter and also the fact that Catwoman said white privilege for
she said that once in
she said that for one line in this 3.5 hour movie, but in particular the first critique, which is that it is essentially like it is trying to whitewash claims that the police are inherently evil. It's like, one, to a certain extent, I don't care. Like,
yeah, who cares? It's a movie.
It's a movie.
This is not propaganda in the same way that like Law and Order is propaganda. This is it's too inherently weird and fictional for people to take that from.
Yeah. But if I have to interface with this question on sort of equal footing, I will say, that this is probably the most woke Batman story you could ever get. Like, cops are almost unambiguously portrayed as evil. There's maybe two of them that aren't just assumed from the jump to be on the take and protecting these horrible people. Also, we get more or less like a condemnation of sort of liberal, and in particular almost the sort of bipartisan neoliberal response to Hurricane Katrina. In a sense, where you have this city that's recovered from this huge disaster that is essentially being looted by the government and by criminals and by, law enforcement, and it's being kept bad on purpose to enrich the people of that were more or less the cause of this decay in the first place. Mm-hmm. It is a perpetual cycle of abuse, basically. And this isn't me saying like, "Oh, this is the secret Marxism." At
this
the core
is the
Batman.
secret Marxism of the Batman. Yeah, we're here on.
But like to a certain extent, I think that this is in line with a somewhat progressive view that like, hey, institutions are bad more often than they're not. Like most of the hindrance to Batman as a force of change, even if yes, he's a rich person, yes, he's evil white guy or whatever. He is more or less an outsider to the system of Gotham itself. And when it's revealed that he's not, he feels bad about it. And he does the work.
Well, in this sense, it's sort of in the way that like a lot of privileged white guys manage to get outside of themselves is because something awful happens to them. Like they get disabled or like they lose something or they encounter serious poverty through some random happenstance. And that's what sort of turns them on to like to learning about perspectives outside of their own. And this movie is Batman doing that. Like I made a joke on Twitter about how this movie is about how Batman needs to sit his badass down and listen to black women. And I think that they do an excellent job of using Catwoman as the black woman, basically. She's the person who's been essentially victimized, even though she has a tangential connection to wealth and to crime. She has essentially been victimized and from birth forced back into a cycle that she doesn't even want to be in the first place. And I think that this is like the most progressive superhero movie you're ever going to get. You're not going to get like, Superman saying all cops are bastards or whatever and then, destroying the state of Israel or whatever. But you're not gonna get a scene of Superman versus the Iron Dome. Like you might get a cute animated movie of like Superman fighting Trump supporters. But in terms of stuff that people will actually see, this is like the most progressive thing that you could get, and it's also it doesn't suck. Like it's not it doesn't feel like a chore to watch. It's not hitting fun. You over the head with its morals. It's like the point of Batman has always been that Gotham City sucks, and why does it suck? Because it's controlled by terrible people.
And then to a certain extent, like, and I was a little bit worried when they started to go into like Thomas Wayne was corrupt too territory, because that can go off the rails very quickly. You can fuck that up bad. But they then immediately be like, well, we don't really know to a certain extent if it was even the mob that got him shot. Like it could have literally just been someone who was out on, saw a rich guy and was like, all right, I'm going to get mine. I think that's perfect. That's what you have to do. It's like, yes, there are these connections, but then also there's this element of chaos, and this omnipresent sort of negative force that inhabits this city and makes people do terrible things, even if it doesn't necessarily financially interest them.
One thing I have to say, someone we haven't mentioned yet, is the wonderful John Turturro giving a wonderful performance as Carmine Falcone. Just eats this role.
I love when he's playing pool and like even the pool table has fucking like Gothic spires on it and the lights have Gothic spires on it, and it's like that rocks.
And even in that pool scene, he's talking about, I think the line he says before Batman comes in is, this all used to be better, you know, and talking about this industrial decay that has occurred over the course of this time, and this decay that keeps happening. Yeah.
It's even gotten worse for the criminal. Like, I mean, the whole point of the whole big reveal that like the criminals have been in bed with the government, and I love that it's like it's not even out of like ease of use. It's out of necessity, because it's like, okay, we don't want to go to jail. You're gonna take us to jail. Let's just buy you. You know.
There's a real you talk about the secret Marxism of Batman. There's a real material analysis to this to why stuff happens in Gotham. You know, even the fact that like the big scene where stuff takes place at is a club, you know, feels more thoughtful about, you know, where would bad guys hang out, you know, if we're doing has there been like, when's the last club scene that's been in a Batman movie? Like the Schumachers?
Probably The Dark Knight. I think there was one briefly in The Dark. It's not really a club scene. It's just like there's an establishing shot of Maroni in a club, and then he goes outside and gets his shit beaten in by Batman.
Also, I just love when Batman fights mobsters, and this movie is all about him fighting mobsters. I love it when he's just fighting regular guys. I think that's sort of where it's a shame that we get hung up on his rogues gallery, because some of his best people are just regular dudes like Rupert Thorne or fucking.
I'm glad that they split the time equally, where it's like, okay, you got the Riddler, but then you also got like, you know, all these shitheads that are just, you know, regular guys that are they're still a bit weird because they live in Gotham, but they're not weird. Like, they're not putting on a costume.
What did you think of Paul Dano as the Riddler?
I liked him. I understand the complaints that, like, oh, he's not a very, like, accurate to the comics Riddler in terms of his look and his dress. I see you and I hear you, and you're valid. I've been on that fight, but also, like, it's pretty good. I can't complain. Like, Riddler, you know, I can't complain.
He has a lot of variation in his depiction, though, because I remember, like, just the incredible difference in depiction between, say, Batman the Animated Series and then later The Batman. Of course, they fucked with everyone's designs, and you got Dreadlock Joker from that one.
I love
Dreadlock Joker rules, man. It's Kevin Michael Richardson too. Fucking that guy is fucking awesome. But Riddler doesn't have as much of a strong archetype as other Batman villains, so you can do a lot more with him. You can put your own mark on him. Like nobody's favorite Batman villain is Riddler, you know. Maybe Gorshin.
I do actually have a mutual whose favorite Batman villain is the Riddler.
Interesting.
He has a Riddler Abbey.
Interesting. He's a Riddler.
And you know what? I respect the hell out of that. I think that's sick. I also really like the movie, and I'm not gonna like lose any sleep over a bad Riddler or not even a bad, like a comics inaccurate Riddler. Bad Riddler.
You know what? I mean, this movie, if it bears a debt in terms of stylistically, it seems obvious that it's going for a David Fincher thing. Seems like a Seven thing. Very, very indebted to Seven with all the...
Yes, my coworkers loved pointing that one out. They were like, yo, it's like Seven. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah, there's a serial killer in this one as well. And the Riddler is sort of like it occupies the same space as Joker did in the Joker movie, where he's this grassroots revolutionary, or the reply guy gone wrong, as many people are calling him.
I love that he's a Twitter guy.
Yeah, he's got 500 followers, a lot of them freaks. He was able to convince a bunch of guys to do sniper work for him, so he's got something going.
I don't think I could get it. Like I have 9,000 followers, and I don't think I could get maybe 10 people to show up.
Yeah, I don't think I could get him to shoot anybody. Like I could get maybe.
Yeah, I could maybe get 5 people to do it to assassinate someone for me, and I don't think many of them would be people who. Like, it wouldn't be president or mayor tier. It would be like, all right, we're going to go, you know, kill this guy and dump his body in the woods.
Yeah, fucking... I like how you have just normies starting to sympathize with the Riddler in the scene where Bruce Wayne is at the funeral and he hears the guy, these rich bastards, and Bruce Wayne has to briefly consider, am I the problem? Am I the privilege? Am I the privileged boy?
I love as well the little autism freak out that he has in Arkham Asylum. I was like, damn, he's just like me.
He needs stimming. He needs to stim quickly. That's what Batman is. It's how he stims.
Hell yeah. Damn, I'm looking at, I guess the Wachowski sisters are doing an auction. If you've ever wanted to, it'll probably be over by the time this podcast comes out. But if you ever wanted to own a prop from The Matrix,
I want to own a prop from Jupiter Ascending, which is...
They have a shitload of props from Jupiter Ascending.
I want to own one of them.
And they're actually on the cheaper side.
I wonder why.
The rocket boots are only $600.
Whoa. What? Really? No, I can't get that. The thing that I want, I rarely purchase stuff like that, but if I'm going to get any weird expensive thing, I'm going to get the Lucifer Rising jacket, which costs a lot of money.
Oh, that's sick.
But I've always wanted
I know which one, the Kenneth Anger. Yeah.
And it has a rainbow Lucifer stitched onto the back, and it's super cool. It's the drive jacket for especially gay people.
Yeah. It's the drive jacket for people who were 25 when Drive came out.
Yeah, I'm too old for this movie. It's
wow, they're selling awards. This is wild. Are they like hard up for cash or some shit? What?
I think they're donating it to a lot of trans charities because it's
okay. Yeah, they're just doing spring cleaning. I guess is what they called it. Yeah, that's sick though because they're giving up like awards and you can buy her Saturn awards.
I need to see Matrix Resurrections.
I liked it.
I've heard only good things.
Yeah, it's sick.
Well, not only good things, but from the people I trust, I hear only good things.
My partner did not like it, but I really, really enjoyed it.
I actually went back.
Yeah, no, this is some cheap as shit Jupiter Ascending stuff.
I went back and saw Reloaded and Revolutions, and it was so weird.
I like Reloaded.
I like both of them. Actually, if you watch them back to back, Revolutions makes so much more sense.
It does. Yeah. You're right. I definitely appreciated it more doing them all at once. I might actually like Reloaded over the original.
Interesting, because of just like the better set pieces, or because it goes to like a weirder philosophical place?
I love the highway scene and the chateau fight. I'm gonna post.
There's a great fucking highway scene in the Batman movie, which is it looks like
there is a fantastic highway. I saw a guy, a certain podcaster who I will not mention, it's stupid that the Batmobile would get outrun by a regular Penguin car or whatever, and I'm like, I don't care.
I don't care. That's the problem. He probably caused a lot of deaths during that.
Yeah,
that's your problem. It's
also like I think on a straight dirt track or whatever, the Batmobile is probably washing most cars, but like there were explosions, there were turns and shit that he's got to do, like. You know how hard it probably is to turn when you got like a jet engine?
It also looks like they didn't use a ton of CGI for that. That looks like a ton of practical
it looked
effects.
Real.
Yeah. I don't know if it was or not.
Yeah. But I could like tell when there were like mostly like the two that stood out to me were of course the skydiving fail scene and then when he cuts the wire.
Yeah. But that was, I didn't, like, people said that, oh, this ruins the movie I didn't notice anything. It seemed pretty seamless and tasteful the way that they were using CGI, so, I don't know. I thought it worked.
I would love to buy the gravity boots from Jupiter Ascending and then just wear them as, like, normal shoes.
Yeah.
Just, like, and then see if anyone noticed it, because it's like I would be very surprised if someone came up to me and were like, "Are you wearing the rocket boots from Jupiter Ascending?"
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
You should.
I've seen that movie twice.
Get the dog ears. Get the little dog ear prosthetics.
They're selling the dog ears too. Yeah, actually, Actually, they're selling the dog ears. They're selling the boots. They're selling like every single prop gun from the movie.
There are some great fucking guns in those movies. I gotta say.
Yeah.
I love.
They're selling the lightning gun from the Matrix, which is like an instant cop.
Oh my god. Okay, I can't buy memorabilia. I need more income.
No, I can't either. Yeah.
But I think I haven't been tracking how long we talked, but I think we've been talking for a pretty long time.
About an hour 20.
About an hour 20 about it. I think this would be a good place to end because we've just been talking effusively about how much we love this movie.
It was great.
Yeah, it was great. Everybody, it's on HBO Max in Canada. It's on our Crave, so catch it on Crave. And
it's on HBO Max in the States. It's on torrent sites everywhere. Everywhere. In very good quality too. You can get the 4K, which is always great. I love that HBO Max has two things: 4K for most of their theatrical releases and very loose security.
It's experiencing a lot of growth. It's the one to beat Netflix. It's going to be head honcho. I think so, yeah.
It's the only one that I actually like ever go to and like pick through the stuff because there's a lot of great little sub channels in there. I mean, you got Turner Classic Movies, Criterion, the DC stuff that most of it's bad, but I mean, there's good stuff in there too.
Have you seen Doom Patrol yet?
I have. I watched it with my mom actually when I lived with my parents. She really liked it. I'm gonna have to. I got about most of the way done through season 1. I'm a huge Grant Morrison fan, and I loved that it was like, whoa, there's a TV show that feels like reading a Grant Morrison comic.
Yes, absolutely. My only gripe with it is, I mean, it suffers from the same thing as all those CWE type DC shows where they just extend out the dialogue for a really long time because they need to save money. But
it's also the only one of those shows that I've seen that actually looks good and has it looks like they used the budget well for that. Like you watch like The Flash or even like the Titan show and it's like this looks like ass. Yeah. You shot this in downtown Toronto next to a Drake music video.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's funny. They're all shot here. It's so funny.
Yeah. I didn't either that or Vancouver. Toronto or Vancouver.
Yeah, these perfectly gray generic cities. Because that's what superheroes are. But not Gotham in this Batman. It's a very characterful city.
Gotham looks sick.
Yeah. So watch the Batman. Cole, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
I had a lot of fun. I'm glad we got it. We got this in. Yeah.
Do your plugs. If you have any plugs, do your plugs right here.
I don't really have anything yet. I might have a podcast coming out this summer. Details TBD. I've done a lot of guest appearances on those good old-fashioned values. Be sure to check them out. I think they might all be locked behind premium, unfortunately, but
they really you should get premium for that show because it's a very good show.
Yeah, it's like $3 or something for the default tier that just gets you the episodes. And then I guess if you want to hear someone get really passionately mad about Batman comics at way too late an hour, feel free to check me out at Twitter at Java_Jigga.
All right. Well, the Batman, Celebration, Gotham, House of Decline. We love you. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye.